Welcome to Finding Prince Charming, Season 1, Episode 7. Circus fling or yacht trip to paradise? See who the Wrens choose for Robert. It's a gruel episode.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
I can get you now. Pull your trigger.
Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's Finding Prince Charming recap. I'm your host Tony Moore, and I am joined by only two gals today. We have to my very, very far left,
Chris Valentine. How y'all doing tonight?
and we have returning with us,
Hey guys, good to be back. It's Grant.
and our other two co-hosts, Jay and Jesse, are too busy to come in and talk about Finding Prince Charming. However, we send you guys a shout out, and they will be back with us hopefully next week. So shout out to them.
Yes.
All right, so later on today, we will be joined by a very special guest. I don't want to give it away yet, but someone will be calling in later. Yeah, because I feel like if I give away the guest, then we're going to give away who got eliminated.
Yeah, no, it's a good one, so hang out
It
with
is
us.
a good one. So yeah, so make sure you tune in. All right, so let's get into this episode. So right off the bat, we pick up where we left off from 2 weeks ago, and it's after the elimination of Chad. As you guys know, Chad had a very dramatic exit
Yes.
from this show.
Our last drama queen. I don't want to say queen, king. Is that all right to say?
Queen.
Okay, our last person with a lot of drama, I felt, left the show.
Queen.
Queen. Last drama queen.
They even said Miss Chad on the show. I like a good exit. If I'm going to do it, I want to go out on a good scene. So I liked it. I was there for it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it fine.
You're a gentleman. You don't go for all that
Well, no,
craziness.
I wouldn't have done all that. I would have went out more like Robbie did. Like, thank you so much, Robert, for this wonderful experience. I truly appreciate it. Lots of love to you. Children, come. Mother's leaving.
Yeah.
See, I don't think Chad was in the right mental state to be able to find grace like that, I feel like,
Yeah.
at that point. But, you know.
It's tough. I mean, it's a tough
You never
situation,
know.
and it's getting down to, the last few. I feel like I have hair on my lip. That's why I keep doing this. But
I
there's
can't
nothing
see
there.
anything
No,
from
it's
here.
fine.
You should
I'm
be
fine.
Final four.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's getting really, crazy. Like everyone's
down
heart's
to
on the
the
line. Everyone is fully vested. So like,
There's like two people, at least for sure, really in love with Robert at this point, right?
well, I mean, they all are.
They all are? Okay.
They all have feelings for him.
Yeah, they all have feelings for him.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, one person who does not have feelings for their gray hair is Dylan, which seems to be his biggest tragedy in this episode. But we'll get more to that later. All right, so Lance arrives and announces that this week the final four will be on a group date where they will meet Robert's family.
Yay.
Any situation where you're about to meet the family is like, that's serious. That's like,
Yeah.
that's like taking the relationship to the next level.
Absolutely.
What did you guys
And
think about, the fact that now these guys were going to meet Robert's family, who's very important to them, by the way?
I was super excited because, they've been teasing this part of the show so much. The guys are, of course, super nervous, as I would be too. You're right. They're taking it. When a guy takes you to see his parents, you're going to the next level. So they know this is serious, but I don't think they knew until they got in the restaurant, which, by the way, they finally promoted. I love now in this episode, everywhere they went, we got to see exactly where it was with the
Yeah.
name. So that
That's
was
good.
super. So they get into the restaurant and they're like, hey, you're going to meet the parents. And they're like, oh my God. So they did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But they are getting out of the house a lot now in this episode.
Yeah.
See,
Which
I
is good.
think it's a lot of pressure to have to do that. I haven't been in that situation at all in my life.
No.
So I don't know. But I was distracted and taken out of it because the whole time I felt bad for the parents because I said, what is their reaction when things unroll in the press as they have done? I was just distracted. I was like, this couple, this lovely father and mother that he has, I wonder how they reacted to his past that has come out. So I was just kind of like, I kind of felt bad. You see before the train before the hit.
Yeah,
I was
before
like,
the train wreck.
So it just took me out of it again because of the casting situation with him, but I mean, whatever. I mean, as for the guys walking into something like that, it's a lot of pressure, especially to do on camera. You have to make a quick impression real quick. You don't know anything about this person. You can't even Facebook them to see like, oh, they like a show that I like. Nothing. So like, you know, you have to think quick. And I felt bad for Brandon because he said like, you know, I'm not very good at the whole small talk thing.
Yeah.
So that's even more pressure.
Well, first of all, everyone keeps wanting the Robert's past to be addressed on the show, and it's like it's not going to happen at this point. So like, you can't take the knowledge that you have now about the show and apply it to something that happened in that moment in time, because none of that was revealed. So you just kind of have to take everything at face value. And as far as we know, maybe Robert has been open with his family and they know him well enough to know, but, you know, like any family, you don't put your business out in the street. At least that's what my mom always told me.
Yeah.
He did come out 18, though,
you know?
so they do know, so they should expect him to want to find somebody, and I don't think it's too shocking for him to bring people to them. The mother seemed very sweet and almost naive. She was like, oh, I like this person is very nice. Jennifer, on the other hand,
I love Jennifer. If you are watching this by any chance, I love you. That is a girl that I'd be like, yes, we're going to have a kiki together.
See, to me, she was a little camera thirsty. I just thought she was enjoying it a little too much.
No, I think she was being herself and being how she was. And of course, when it's great for camera purposes, whatever, but I think she was being her. I thought
she was a little extra.
No.
You didn't catch that? I don't know. To me, I was just like,
do you think
this one's enjoying the camera.
She knew what was going on, and where it was kind of like set up in a way where they told her, you are going to drill the guys. This is your job on the show. Did you feel that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yeah.
no,
that's where I'm at.
Y'all, like seriously, like these people are going to come on into this situation and be their complete selves. Like no one is going to be that thirsty to be like in front of the camera, especially when you're being brought into the situation.
But it happens all the time on all these reality shows. You don't know how you're going to react until you're in front of it.
But
you know what I mean? It wouldn't surprise me if she
fast.
came in with a little bit of an agenda.
No, the agenda was to find out about these guys that have been vying for her brother's heart.
On paper, but she could react totally different.
She
could enjoy that time. This could be a first time for her to be on TV. I mean, you don't know how to react.
I'm sure it is.
Oh,
but are some of you using the B word in the chat room? Because she did come across a little strong.
Oh,
it's
I don't
her
know about that.
Well, no,
You don't classify her that way.
Well,
I just thought
she
was
has a strong personality for sure.
She
and
does,
She
but
was
I
bringing
wouldn't go
it.
that far.
She was bringing it for the show. I mean, that is for me the part of the show that had the most drama was Jennifer. So
True.
I think she's putting the guys on the spot. And when Justin said his blood was boiling, I'm like, oh, good, we finally get to see you angry. But he was just kind of playing it straight face with her, but he was clearly upset, and she was like immediately, "You're the friend zone," you know.
Well, I mean, how would you feel if you're, falling for someone and the person that you have to make a great impression with, because they showed that her and Robert have a great relationship with each other because they're only 3 years apart. So the one person that you need to impress looks at you and says, I think you're more of a best friend for him. Like, of course you're going to be upset, but of course you're not going to be like, bitch, you don't know me. Like, you're not going to act like that. You're still going to kind of save face and go home and cry about it later.
Some of the past guys might have done that, but yeah, Justin's a little sweetheart.
Well, that was the kiss of death, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
Because in this case, the family was choosing who was going to go on the solo dates later, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this was important, and I think he was crushed.
Of course, I mean, he's vying for Robert and has feelings for Robert, and he's the one that's kind of been the front runner this whole time because he's gotten the most dates with Robert. He connected first with Robert. He got the first kiss from Robert. So there's kind of history there already between Justin and Robert.
Yeah.
So to then go through all this and have the sister go, oh, yeah, you look like more of a best friend. It's just kind of like, no, girl, I'm trying to be the man.
I wanted him to get angry, though. I still wanted it.
Yeah, I think Justin has too much class for that, though, to get to their face. So, yeah.
He's like an angel on the show. He's so good to everybody. He's like a light on the show.
Well, the family definitely had, opinions about everyone. I do wish that they featured the mom and dad more. But I did like that towards the end, they, kind of went around and found out who the parents liked. The mom really liked Eric, who she thought was very sweet and honest, also liked Dylan. The dad liked Eric and Brandon. And Jennifer said that she was on the fence about Brandon, which is the exact same reaction that Robert had about Brandon. Yeah. But then, he kind of warmed up, and she thought otherwise. So it was interesting to hear their take, especially just meeting them for the first time.
Yeah, I'd love to know how long they actually had with each individual person.
Yeah.
Because that would depict a lot as to how much they really got to know, especially with impressions surrounding Brandon. Because I feel like that's even how he was portrayed on the show. We all liked him from the beginning because we thought he was so attractive, but it wasn't until we learned his story, we saw him interact with the guys, we saw him on the dates, then we were like, oh, okay, so it's funny that everyone kind of has that relationship with Brandon. It unrolls the longer he's around.
And the date with Dylan was they showed 2 seconds. It was wow. So the only way we got feedback was to watch the confessional after, where he talks about it and talks about it to the other guys. But they did knock out that scene pretty fast. I mean, it was boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Well, I think with Brandon, I feel like he's kind of like how I would be in that situation, where you're kind of quiet, you kind of observe, and then when you have your time, that's your time. And so I think everyone is not like a pounce, in for the kill, type of a thing. But yeah,
he spoke well. When he did have his time, he said he's not good at small talk, but yet he spoke very well when he was talking to the sister and the family. So I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. So I liked this part of the show, and I think it comes at a great part, to have Robert's family kind of come in and kind of guide him and kind of give their input on the guys. I like it because it also shows just how close he is with his family and how important family is to him.
And one of the guys even said it brought out more of a multi-dimensional aspect to Robert. We got to see him more as a real person.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful that the family was there. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great moment, and I live for the sister. I'm sorry. I know you guys thought she was putting on the front, but I think she's like that every day. I think if you take her out, she is going to be like that, and you and I could live. Jennifer, I live for her.
Okay.
L-I-V-E.
We can all feel different ways.
We'll
it's
just
cool.
go to the Republic with her next time.
I sure will. Jennifer, if you're ever in LA, girl, call me. We'll go to the Abbey and have a good time. So after the meeting of the family, everyone, had different mixed feelings. Justin, of course, did not feel great at all. He held on to the fact that Jennifer said that it's more of a best friend.
This ain't RuPaul's best friend race. I keep wanting to say that because they keep
this isn't Finding Prince Charming best friend race. So he, kind of held on to that, and everyone else, tried to figure out, their connections and everything like that. But at the end of this little meet, it was Dylan and Brandon that got the solo date. So congratulations to them. How did you guys feel about that? Did you guys think that Dylan and Brandon were the two that should have gotten the dates, or did you guys have other people? I thought it was going
to be one of the three. I did not think Justin was going to get it, but I was so happy for Dylan because truly he has not had a solo date, and we got to see them connect finally.
Well, I predicted that it was going to be Brandon and Eric just because I wrote down who each family member liked, and that's I just like my process of elimination. The people they liked the most it went down. They had equal votes, Brandon and Eric, but Dylan did earn the state. I mean, after all this waiting around and waiting, at least he did get his moment. I was happy for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oh gosh, these dates. So we'll start with Dylan's date, which was a circ school. Very interesting to do that.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about Robert and Dylan on the circ? It's a circus school.
Yeah. I want to go to it.
I've always wanted to go, but not on a date. I would go for fun or with friends, but I wouldn't go there necessarily on a date. But it does look fun.
It does look fun, but I feel like it's not like a first date kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I feel like it needs to be like a second, third,
There's
more like a third, fourth date. Yeah.
Yes, because the thighs are going in between the thighs, and there's
Here we go.
This is what I'm here for.
Go ahead now. Go ahead.
There is a lot of skin touching, and so of course you're right. You don't necessarily want to go on the first date, but there's a lot of good interaction going on, and it looks like so much fun.
Well, it's very interactive. You have to hold hands. You're in between things. You have to bend. You have to flex. Although Robert really likes flexible people.
Yeah, he does.
Do you want me to talk about that?
He wouldn't like me. He wouldn't care for me because I
not
can't do anything
flexible,
like
Grant?
this. In Cirque school,
You're not flexible?
I can't touch my toes.
Are you serious?
What do you mean
No,
you
I
can't touch your
can't.
toes? They ain't that far.
I can't reach down that low. My hamstrings are tight. So this is not the date for me. But I would still go and just
Those
attempt.
hamstrings are tight, Grant.
But I would not have anyone be. I wouldn't expect anyone to be impressed by anything that I'd be doing at Cirque school.
I think it looked fun, and I like the moment that they had after everything, and they got to sit and connect and just talk. And Dylan asked Robert, what's the one thing that he would want to work on, and he said his ego, I think. And then Dylan,
Yeah, interesting answer.
yeah, and then
I hate that question, by the way. What is your
What?
biggest fault?
flaw.
Flaw, fault?
well,
What's your best
yeah,
attribute?
We all have a
What
flaw.
would you change about yourself?
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, what's mine?
only
Well,
you
it's
know
your
that.
own, yeah, it's your own personal thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to
it's-
judge like Jennifer?
No.
Okay.
It's your own it's your own thing that you know about yourself.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't like
insecurity
revealing.
or anything like that. Yeah. But I mean, it is, you have to, to put that out there. You might not say like the main thing. You might say like a B rated.
You
thing.
always like switch
You know?
it up and make it a positive. You spin it,
Yeah,
just like they
you
were
could.
spinning, and that was the best part. Spinning. I wanted to say that's the best part of the date. I would want to do that, and they're using their own motion and synergy to do it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that Robert wasn't so flexible. by the
However,
way.
though, while you do want to spin things, this isn't a job interview. This is more of a date. So you do need to be kind of honest, I feel like, in that
Yeah, of course.
situation.
always
Yeah.
honest. No,
You know?
always.
Yeah.
Always honest.
So once
I don't know what
again,
to say.
even though I loved the moment with Dylan and Robert, once again we saw no kiss between Dylan and Robert.
You
You're
always
right.
notice.
You're right. I didn't catch
well,
that.
I
They were
always,
holding hands.
No, but there's no kiss
You missed that
because
part, okay.
because Robert has kissed everybody in that house except Dylan, and I see it, fans see it, and like everyone is Team Dylan, but like there is no kiss, and you think there are moments where like they're really connected and like, oh, this is like the moment, and then it's like you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what?
Where's my kiss?
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't hear about it. Like, he was too busy bragging after the date about everything, the touching and all that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you'd think he'd be like, it would at least come up. Like someone would ask, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, did you finally get your kiss? But no, it didn't come up. Weird.
Well, when he
It's
was
just
in
not
the-
gonna happen, kids. Forget it. You know what I mean?
Brandon really showed us a different side of him when he came to the studio last week. I mean, people were even saying that in the chat room and afterwards that he was Dylan. When Dylan came in, he was so likable, and he showed us a different side of him that we don't really see on the show. So it's interesting to see. Maybe we're not getting the whole picture, but he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's
like
very
Dylan.
cool. All right, so then we move along to Brandon's date, which was on a boat, making him feel like J-Lo and all. That's why we had that song playing at the
Trip
beginning.
to paradise.
This is the best date yet for me, anyway.
Because they're spending money.
Well, I just, for me, I liked the interaction that Brandon and Robert had while they were on the boat.
Yeah.
It was just like they seemed very connected and very into each other, and it's like it's that moment where you're like, oh, this is nice. I want to do that.
It was
Absolutely.
It
intimate.
was very intimate.
And
There
it
was
got-
and there was a lot of kissing going
Ooh,
on.
honey, it was
On
a
the sun
lot.
deck, yeah.
It was getting hot on that boat, for sure.
Yeah, the Quad Father, the name of the boat. I thought that
Yes,
was
we
kind
had
of
so many
interesting.
promos. Thank you. We're in Santa Monica, beautiful LA. It is the place to rent a boat or a yacht, really.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this is the Quad Father from LAX Rentals or something like that. I'm like, very good.
That's
very
the way
good.
it should be. Yeah,
Get it in there.
Absolutely. Get so you know.
Listen, yes, get all of your free promo in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Robert talked about here, which I caught, was he said it's getting more difficult as everyone leaves, and that he actually has feelings for Brandon. I feel like this was the first time it was that like put out there.
Yeah.
Where he was like, I'm really falling, like I really have true feelings for you right now. And it wasn't anything like in a confessional afterwards. It was like in the moment. This was a real moment, and I that resonated with me, that whole situation before they started rolling around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also see it in his eyes when he's making those confessionals that you're talking about. And even when he's with Dylan and he says certain things, you can read Robert pretty well. Even when he's talking.
That's true. You've always been able to do that. You read him from the first episode with the very first tie ceremony. I remember you were like pointing it out. You're like, yeah, that one, there's nothing there. Like you do.
And by the way, this guy is incredible with predictions. He will tell us what is going to happen before it happens. So he's a reality star expert.
Oh, thank you.
in
I've watched
predictions.
too much, but it's fun. It's fun, but it's also kind of spoils things too, because I can kind of tell sometimes,
He always
but it's
knows.
always great when you're surprised. So
Yeah.
Yes. The art of surprise is always good. So
thank you.
yeah, so then they had their Brandon and Robert had their date, which we all seem to like, and
Brandon claimed him too. Did you catch that?
claimed him.
He's like, "This is my man."
my
He's
meat.
like, "This is yeah."
Oh,
he
I
said-
missed that. Well, listen, bless it and release it, honey. If you got something to claim, you got to give it to Jesus. So I claimed that Baskin Robbins ice cream I ate during
you certainly
during the
did.
episode. I was like, this ice cream is mine. I'm not sharing it with nobody. So that was a fun date. I really liked that date. I thought it was an appropriate date. I kind of do wish that Dylan had the same type of intimate date as well. Almost, you know what I almost kind of wish is that the dancing date that happened 2 weeks ago was Dylan's date, and that the cert school was the one that they did with the three of them. Like it was like switched.
Yeah.
Because didn't his date get cut short, the dance date? Didn't
Because of Chad?
Because of Chad, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like it didn't complete itself.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
got
because it was kind of an abrupt end because of the Chad drama, and it kind of put like a damper on the night. So I kind of wish that they just had like a night of dancing, and it still could have been that interaction, the same thing that they were trying to do with the cert school.
the tango.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, because even Dylan wasn't that impressed with the date that he had with one-on-one time. Like he mentioned that he's like, I'm
Yeah.
a little disappointed, and I can understand that.
Yeah.
Especially because it's getting so late. You don't have time on your side at this point. Every minute with him, if that's what you want, you got to go for it.
Yeah.
And once Robert gets turned off, he's done for the night. Like if he's upset,
Oh, yeah.
people in the house, he's out of there. So yeah, I mean, he kind of got snookered on that date night.
Yeah. Well, other things that are on Dylan's mind besides Robert is the gray hair that's on his head.
Oh.
Freaked out about it so much that he put a hole in his head, and Eric had to come fix it.
Now, is that normal? You tell me, Tony, because I have no idea. Is at 26 the normal age to start getting gray? It seems like guys are getting younger and younger.
Well,
Or was it the stress of the show?
it could have been the stress of the show. I know, as for me and my locks of love, I only have one gray hair, just one, and
Where is it?
it's like up here in the front, but it's so fine
Just
and so
pull it out.
thin that it just kind of mixes in with all the other curls, so I'm not worried about it.
No.
But I did have a little freak out when I saw my gray hair. I was like,
And how about you, Grant? Have you?
Well, I
noticed?
never noticed anything, and then I got my hair cut about a month ago,
Uh-huh.
and like, the hairdresser was like, "Oh, you do know you have one hair," and I'm like, you don't need to tell me that. I don't see it. I don't know where it is.
Your
I don't want to
hair
know.
is always
I'd pluck it and we're
perfect.
done. But no, I don't even know what happened to it. But I mean, it's
still
here.
there. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
It's here, and I wear it effing proudly.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's all about aging gracefully. I mean, there's some
Of
people
course.
who like get gray hair really young.
Yeah. As long as I don't lose it. I think I'll be
Right.
all right. They say you take after your mother's father with
Yeah.
what hair you're going to have.
heard
So he's good. My grandfather's good. So I feel like I'll be all right for a while.
Yeah.
And I really
me too.
wouldn't know because my hair color's changing every week. And so I don't really know what my true hair color is. But this is for Halloween, guys. A little bit of red tint in there for you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So you change it all the time?
Well, some shows like Westworld did not like it that it was so bright. And when I'm in here, the lights are so bright. It was kind of, it's kind of be too bright sometimes. So I try to make it darker. So it just depends. And it's it's fall, so I'm in a fall kind of mood.
Why not?
My hair is the same year round, so
I know. I wish I could lighten up, but I have such dark features that I'd look all out of place.
you end up looking like Dylan after that haircut.
I don't know if I would go that short. I think that'd be extreme.
Yes. So
Big head.
then we have the black tie affair, which I don't know. Now that we're at this point, I feel like this show was just like really short.
Yeah. Well, when they went to that black tie fair, I said, enough with this calling people forward. Like, at this point, he should just say who he wants and who he doesn't. There's too few of them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And I was like,
you're
all right,
right.
good. This is a good use of time.
That is exactly. He called Justin up and he was like, "Listen, you're great. You're wonderful. We've had a great time, but
I knew it.
And Justin was prepared.
shit's not there."
He was wearing the all black on black for mourning. And
Well, he
knew
was mourning
maybe-
either himself or one of his sisters leaving, and it turned out that it was him. So
I think he was feeling it a little bit. I think he
I
kind
think
of
so.
maybe
I
might
definitely
have.
think
Well, I
thought-
think when someone suddenly friend zone you, is or puts you in a certain category, you're like, oh, okay, that's how you think of me, all right. But I didn't think that Robert thought that of him. I thought that Robert felt like he had a connection with him as well. But as he said in the black tie affair, he just felt like his connection with the other three guys was much stronger. Which
Do you think, though, that Robert was taking his family's comments into account? Because on the show, it made it look like he really was swayed by what they said.
I think that
editing.
I mean, I think that it was taken into consideration, but maybe after spending time with everyone except for Justin and Eric, and maybe time did play a part in it because Justin and Eric were both very concerned with the fact that their last solo dates were quite a while ago. So that could have been an issue as well. So.
Yeah, I could just kind of tell, unfortunately, just from watching and how they kind of kept cutting back to him feeling so insecure about that moment with the sister. I just kind of could tell that that's where it was going to go.
You always
unfortunately.
know. He always knows.
But it was time. I think it was his time, too, at the same. But it's interesting with who's left.
Yeah, what is
We
Robert's
have-
type?
We have Dylan, Brandon, and Eric who are left. They are the last three, and they're all packing a bag and heading to Palm Springs for a little romantic getaway. So I don't know. I mean, I do feel for Robert because I mean it is tough. I mean the final four really did have connections with him, and I think the final three have great connections with him as well. So I think Palm Springs is going to be the thing that kind of says, all right, this is the one.
Right.
I think he kind of already knows who the one is.
I think so, too.
I think he knows at this point. I mean, I've narrowed it down to one person, and I mean, I don't see how it cannot be this person. Are we doing
Right.
predictions?
I don't think so just
Okay.
yet, because we might be having our call coming
Our
up.
guest
Yeah,
star.
well,
But
we-
I'm
Our
looking
guest
at the
star.
two of them, and I'm like, there's a couple different arguments for why it's narrowed down to who it is. I feel like there is a clear front runner, but in my mind, but also I feel like there's two folks that perhaps he doesn't want to exclude for whatever reason, for things that have been revealed on the show, and perhaps one that he doesn't really like. Dylan, I don't really feel like he has much of a connection with him, but I feel like it would be a good thing for him, given any type of rumors that we've heard, to keep him on. So I feel like there's a little bit of perhaps an agenda. I'd love to say that maybe it is all true, real feelings at the end, and I don't doubt that the guys have legit feelings for him at this point. But I just wonder, what he's really thinking, if he really is as torn over those three as they are for him. Just saying.
I don't think
Read
he
between the
is.
lines on that one.
I think they're going for him a little bit more at this point, but he is being very princely and charming and very nice to everybody. I do think he has a stronger connection with at least one of them, but we shall see.
Well, while we wait for our caller to call in, as we've already said who was eliminated, we will have Justin on the line very shortly. We have no news and gossip, so let's quickly go into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
All right, so next week it's the finale before the reunion, and Robert will select his partner in crime, his lover in life, the person who has owned and earned his heart. So, gentlemen, I ask you guys, out of the final three, Dylan, Eric, and Brandon, who do you think Robert will choose?
Brandon, shall we say it at the same time?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon. Absolutely.
I think so. And, Brandon's been pretty quiet on social media. I think that might have something to do with a lot of it. because I don't know. I mean, Dylan's not too quiet.
Speaking of which, Brandon, if you watch him on social media, it's so cute to see all of his metaphysical statements and love and light and all that.
Oh, I love all that
Which is
stuff.
great, which is great.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed in the past few days, Robert is doing the same thing. It's wonderful, Robert.
He's in
We
touch
love it.
with his spiritual self.
Yes, exactly. Like the mountains are beautiful and we must find peace. And the animals are so sweet. Why can't people be, open-hearted and loving?
Yeah.
And so I do see some similarity with the social media with Brandon and Robert are like two peas in a pod at this point. So speaking to that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come down to Eric and Brandon, and then we'll go the way of Brandon. That's just
Well,
what
maybe
I
it'll be
think.
like-
Just by taking a look.
Maybe it'll be
Looking
like
in
RuPaul
between
where
the
we
lines.
don't narrow it down to two. Maybe he'll just pick one of the three. So then the other person doesn't have to feel bad. Second runner up. You don't really know who it is.
That does happen sometimes
Yeah.
on these shows. Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
I mean, I do think that it's really between Brandon and Eric.
Yes.
Those are my two, and I feel like it could go either way. I think Brandon is like the sea biscuit of the race, and is gonna come out of nowhere. But then there's also Eric that has had a great connection. I don't think it's going to be Dylan just for the fact that he still hasn't gotten a kiss yet. Now, however, if during the Cirque school, if he had gotten a kiss, I would have been like, "Ooh, now
Yeah,
this is
because
tough."
then it'll be equal. All three of them.
Yeah,
right?
it would have been tough. But I think it's going to come down to Brandon and Eric, and we will see.
Yeah.
That was so cute, though, when Jennifer asked Eric, are you into him for lust, or do you really have feelings for him? And it was so funny because she asked him a few questions, and every time he would, pause for a long time. And then he'd go, absolutely. So, and I want to say something to that because we all met Eric recently. And he really is like that. He is very soft-spoken. He thinks before he says anything. And what's kind of funny is when I first met him, I was taking a picture with Chad, and I went up to this guy and I says, "Can you take a picture of me and Chad?" Little did I know that was Eric standing there. He was so quiet and everything, and he didn't say anything. He was just smiling at me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's you, Eric!" So he is so sweet, he's so kind, and he is very soft-spoken. Like, he didn't get upset, he didn't say anything, and I think that was his true personality that we were seeing tonight with Jennifer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can let everyone know we had a kiki 2 weeks ago after the show.
Oh, yeah.
And
You've seen it on
we
social
all
media.
went out to West Hollywood and actually ran into Dylan, Chad,
Everybody.
Eric,
Nick.
And Robert.
You say Nick?
Nick, yeah. I ran into him.
Oh,
after
you
that.
ran into him?
Yeah.
Where was
He was a
he?
great guy.
Where was he?
At Revolver.
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
You didn't text me. Okay.
And then
I think
and
that was
Robert.
the next night. That was the next night. I
Oh,
ran
the
out.
next night.
Yeah.
And then
that was
Robert,
Saturday.
we ran into Robert as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
and-
you ran over to him. Where was he?
Of course. Well, he was at the Abbey in the VIP section. And when I asked you guys earlier, what do you think Robert's type is? The reason I asked that is because when I saw him hanging out there at the Abbey, he was surrounded by a certain type.
Oh.
Now, let me tell you, Robert is an incredibly nice person. We ran into each other a few times. I went out and talked with him. Very nice. He did wonderful pictures with me. But the guys surrounding him were very interesting, and it's not quite the type of guy that I see on the show. So I don't know whether the producers brought in the type of person that he likes, or maybe these are just his friends. I don't know.
Well, tell us a little more. Who is he with?
Thank you. Finally, the question everyone wants to know, right? So he was surrounded by extremely tall, beefy, blonde guys. And I want to say kind of straightish. I mean, they did not look like your typical, guy. I mean, these were like supermodel. I mean, gorgeous. Everything about them is like, you don't see this every day. And you certainly didn't see it on the show. When Justin had his blonde hair, he was tall, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's his type. And then tonight, of course, no, that wasn't working. But these guys looked and kind of acted very straightish, too, if that's all right to say. Doesn't offend anybody, right?
No.
What?
Okay.
No,
Okay.
if I want masculine
so,
men.
Very
yeah.
beefy, not
Yeah.
thin. They were like very masculine. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. Little inside
Well,
information
never
for you
know.
guys.
Yeah, it's just interesting how the final three here all are so different. You know,
Yeah.
and personality-wise, you know, you've got Dylan, who's admits he's so aggressive. Eric, you mentioned soft-spoken, but like, you know, ultimate like true blue good guy. And then Brandon, who's so spiritual and we like to say the
guru.
show, so fit. Not that the others aren't either.
Oh my
but
gosh.
it's funny how
You would
know,
not
you have to see
believe-
what lane he chooses. Yeah, we shall find out.
These guys are super thin, and we did notice that when Dylan came into the studio. I'm like, oh my gosh, he looks normal on television, but when you see these people in person, they're like Grant. They are like size 0. I mean,
Some of
so
them who
skinny.
spend 6 days in the week might not like that comparison. They're probably a little bigger than my little ass, but
They
good
are
for them.
so thin. I'm like, do you guys eat food?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're drinking at all the bars and everything,
Yeah.
allegedly. But anyways, they are they are thin. They are very, very light. So it's incredible to see these people in person. It's just like on the shows. These stars, they look normal on television, but when you meet them in person, they are unbelievably thin.
I couldn't believe Chad was shorter than me. But
Yeah.
still looks good.
But they were all very, very nice, and I actually,
Yes.
I think it was the same night. I did meet Robert.
Yes. I pushed you. I said, you have to go meet him.
Well, I don't think I wasn't seeking out to meet him, but he
I
was.
yeah, you were.
You know me.
He was in the VIP booth with a girl that I know, Aris, who's currently on Oxygen's. Wait, is it Oxygen or We?
What's the show?
Strut.
Yeah, oxygen.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
And so I was chatting with Aris, and then I met Lath, and then I just so happened to look to my left, and there was Robert. And I was like, oh, hi, my name is Tony. I left it at that because I was not trying to get Twitter blocked. And so I introduced myself. He was very nice and very polite. And it's almost like, you know, how people say, oh, the camera, blah, blah, blah. But he looks just as good in person as he does on camera.
Amazing. I don't know if he's on a liquid diet too, because you know drinking does have the calories. I don't even know if he's drinking now, but he is so thin, really.
Well, he's fit.
And it shows. It's easy.
Yeah, he's. I mean, even when he was in those beach scenes, very a lean guy. You know, very lean
Yeah.
and muscular. Yeah. So yeah,
So
we got a lot to look forward to then. And there's a reunion special.
yes, the reunion is coming up in 2 weeks.
I believe so.
Because
Yeah.
next week is the finale, and
Right.
then the reunion comes up. I'm really anxious to hear what the guys have to say at the reunion.
Yes.
Why is that? What do you think they're gonna say?
Here she goes. I swear she tries to play Nancy Drew.
Let's get the tea.
Well, Lance
There is no
did.
tea.
Lance did give an interview, and I think he was on Wendy Williams, and
I love Wendy.
I love her.
Yeah.
And she gave him like literally like 90 seconds to talk about the show. He said what it was really quickly, but he said that at the reunion, a lot of things were revealed that he didn't even know himself, things that Robert didn't know. So a lot will be revealed, and it was really shocking, and it's must watch. So. We'll have to cover that, of course, and we'll be looking at all the details along with you.
And didn't they knock that episode out in like one day? They all flew in on a Saturday and did it when
Yeah.
we were all out of town.
Because it was that night, yeah. Because Friday, no, it was Thursday night that we went out, and Friday night I went out, and that's when they had all let out from the reunions. They were all letting off steam. Let me tell you,
Really? You should have done some Instagram and some Facebook feeds.
I was having a good time of my own. I was like,
Lots of champagne.
We're good,
And lots of
always.
vodka involved.
That's all he drinks.
champagne and tequila.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the reunion and to find out, you know, just a different perspective from the guys. And it'd be nice to see everyone reunited, including the guys who were eliminated first, because
Yeah.
no one probably remembers them. But
I know,
we
Jason.
do.
Jason just like Twittered me out of the blue today. I'm like, oh my gosh. Out of all, you know, you're like on episode 2 or 3 or something really early on, and then all of a sudden I get a like or something happened today on Twitter. So, yeah, it's like, it seems like forever ago. You know, it seems like so far in the past, but it'll be great to see them all back together.
yes.
Indeed.
So we are patiently waiting to see when Justin will call in. So we're just going to keep talking, and we're going to find out what you guys are chatting about
Yeah.
in
Yeah, what's the consensus?
So let's see.
Who do they think is going to win? Do they have any names that they've been throwing around?
Let's see. Ray says Brandon is my front runner. Let's see. It would be Eric. Lots of love for Justin, even though he was eliminated tonight. Grayscale says, I don't see him being with Brandon. Let's see.
It's funny, when Eric was talking, they would show Brandon taking his clothes off. Wasn't that interesting? It was like, why are you cutting to Brandon on that? But yeah, Brandon showed some skin tonight. They're all in great shape.
Well, what I will say, I think it's interesting because I said who I think will win. I don't know who he's going to end up being with. I don't know if any of these relationships are going to fully work out. I don't know. I think that it might be a little open-ended. I don't know anything. I'm not spoiling anything.
No.
But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, Flavor of Love Season 1, Hoops 1. They had that reunion, and it was like that, but it wasn't like that.
Never again to be seen together, right?
Yeah, that was it. So you never know when you come out the other end. It's like The Bachelor. Yeah. It's like, it's just like anything else. You never know who you're going to end up with at the end.
Do you think Robert's career will keep going after this show? Will he do more stuff?
Like reality TV or more Instagram posts?
Like Robbie. We all know Robbie's going to keep working, but Robbie's been working a long time in television. So that was like no surprise when we found that out in a way. But do you think this is Robert's 15 minutes of fame, or will it keep going?
It's hard to kill someone now. It's hard to kill
once you're
someone's
famous,
career.
You're always famous. With 500 channels, you can always get work. But I feel like Robert is like in the upper echelons of gay society. I feel like that's why he got on the show in a way. I think he has incredible connections, and we will probably hear from him again,
I mean, everyone has the potential. They've been given a platform. It just depends on what you do with that platform. I mean, I don't, I think that I can't speak for Robert, but I don't know him, but just based on
don't block us, Robert.
Just based on what we know now, is that I think being thrust into a reality show and the spotlight and things like that, I think it may have kind of taken a toll on him.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
going out every night is hard. That's a hard life with that pounding music, and I don't know. I still don't know if he was drinking or not, but most people are drinking hard liquor. And it was great, though, to see Robert the next day on Twitter after that night go up to Runyon Canyon and be at peace with the world.
It's not about going out. It's about the fact that, when you're thrust into the light and you have people commenting on things, and yes, you're expected to have people say whatever they want, but it takes a toll on you, and I think
you have to adjust to being a public figure overnight.
Yeah, and I think that with everything that has come out about him, I would guess that it's taking a toll on him a little bit.
So maybe he's going to pull back a little.
See, I would predict that his TV career will go in a different direction with his interior design business.
That's what I'd love to see.
Perhaps he'd be a consultant or be featured on a show or design for someone. I feel like there's so many options now with, he's a figure, and if he has an agent, he'll be all right. You know what I mean? So there's always something you can do with it all. Maybe he'll be the face of a paint line or something like that. You never know, even within commercials. So I think that this will help him and not hurt him in the end. Because it's really, nowadays, it's so hard to kill someone's TV career. I mean, even Kendra Wilkinson is still hanging around.
If you can do design, any form of design, every single talk show all day long always has a home and garden little vignette in there. And so that would be perfect for him. If he can get on a show like Robbie, the home and garden, I want to say, on Hallmark, if he can stay on television, then he could be kind of like Martha Stewart, where he has his own paint line and this and that and the other. You really have to stay on TV, though, because people do forget. But I do see that he could go on, if he, really focuses on the design aspect of what his career is, he could go and do a lot of talk shows.
That would be my professional advice. To build the brand within that respect.
Robert, follow up on the design stuff. I think that is going to be your segue to stay on.
That's something we haven't seen much on the show. I would be definitely more interested to see a little bit about, let's see him put together a room with one of the guys or something like that. Like, I don't know. I know it might sound boring, but I want to see him in his natural habitat, in his element where he's really excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
He's excited about anything,
we
actually.
We haven't seen too much of the design aspect, And he says that is his career, but we have
because I honestly, halfway through this whole series, I forgot that he was a designer. I was like, oh, well, that's something I'd be interested in seeing, So
like maybe a date that takes them into that into his world a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't really until the art gallery date that I was like, oh yeah, he knows this world. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I would like to see a little bit more of the
Marc
creative
Jacobs.
side over them doing the flips and then doing the boxing or whatever the hell they did. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, it has been another wonderful episode of Finding Prince Charming, and hopefully maybe next week we will have Justin call in to share his wonderful experience. But before we go, gentlemen, let everyone know where they can find you on the social medias.
Absolutely. So, AKA Golden Boy, tweet me something I can retweet. Love you. And check out my website for all the celebrity interviews, chrisvalentine.la.
And you guys can find me over on Twitter at Grants__rants and on my podcast, Grants Rants Hollywood Talk.
And of course, you guys can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony or my website, loungingwithtony.com. And if you want to follow Jay and Jesse, look them up because I can't remember what their Twitter handles
Shout
are.
out Jay Jesse.
Yes. We will see you guys next time for another wonderful event recap of
finale.
Finding Prince Charming.
Yes.
Bye, you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.